Hi everyone. Hello. How are you all doing? Good, good. Excited about finishing your calculator app? Okay, good. So that's where we are going to start. Where did we leave off last time? At what point were we? Did the sum addition, right? That was, we got that word. Okay. So we type a number plus another number, press equal to, and we get the result. Okay. So that's where we will start from. Can you please reduce the lights? Thank you, and close the door. Okay. And what we will do today is from there we will take it and complete the other operations: subtraction, multiplication, division. We'll look at what happens if we type a sequence of numbers instead of two numbers separated by operators. So that will come under those two: multiple numbers and mixed / complex operations. So a plus b minus c, like that. And some of you asked last time, how can I make all my buttons the same size, or make them have the same space between them? So all of that actually comes under the realm of advanced layout. There are techniques available to us through Xcode, through Swift, and what we will do is we'll look at two of those. We'll see what stack views are and how to use auto layout. Auto layout, as the name suggests, is automatic layout. It is going to allow us to say things like, okay, these four buttons, make them all equal size and take up equal space horizontally or vertically, stuff like that. Okay, so these are, we have already looked at the basic use case, two numbers addition, and what we want to do is we want to look at subtraction, multiplication, division, and then we'll do the other. So if you remember in the last class, we started off by creating a model. We called it the calculation model. Gave it some name. And what that did was it allowed us to create a place to hold all the information that the calculator is working with. The first number, the operation, and the second number, and calculate the result. And that is where we did our Okay, so this is what I was talking about, the calculator model. We created three variables, one to hold the first number, the other one to hold the second number, and then an operation which will perform on those two numbers when requested. The get result function did that. Okay, so this was our model, and this is where we were in terms of how the controller, the view controller, worked. It listens to, let me open the storyboard as well so we can look at both of those things together. Okay, this is what our calculator looked like. It had a place to display the numbers and a bunch of buttons to do what we want to do, like type a number or choose an operation. From here, can you all see the font size is good? Okay. So this is what we did. Anybody want to tell me what this is? What I have highlighted? And how did it get there?
It's the outlet of the text field.
Yes, the outlet of the text field, and we did it drag. We drag, right click and drag from the text field to here, and we just had to give it a name. And okay, what is this here? Do you remember? Action. When a button is touched, right? And which buttons does it listen to? All of them. And how did we do that? We did first one by drag, and then we used from here, we just, this turns into a plus and we can connect whatever else we want. So we connected, and when we take the mouse there, it shows us what is connected to it. So if there was a button missing that was not connected, you will immediately notice it, right? And the same thing with this outlet as well. If we take our mouse, it will tell us what the connection is. Okay, so that's our recap. And what we did was, when this button is touched, this was our logic. At first we just, for testing, we printed. But what we really want to do is here, we get the text of the button. So if a button is touched, this variable retrieves which button was touched. So if number 5 was touched, this button text will contain 5. So once we know all of that, and also what we did was, we got the current value, whatever is displayed here at any given time. Every time a button is touched, we update this. We get the whatever is being displayed. And then we put a switch on the button text to see which button was touched. And in case of numbers, if a number button was being touched, we started appending to this current value. So if the current value, if you were typing a number, we type 1, then we type 2, we type 2, then 1, then 2 will get appended, it will become 12, like that. And also, we need to know when to start a new number. So for example, if I've typed the number, then I press plus, and then I start typing more numbers, then we have to start a new number. And that we were keeping track of in this Boolean called start new number. It's right at the top here. So initially, when the calculator first opens, we are not saving its state. So we assume that it's a brand new calculation. If you start typing a number, you're typing a new number. So it is true. That variable, the Boolean variable, is true by default. And when we have typed a number and then we press plus, as soon as plus is pressed, we set the operation in the model and set this start new number to true. And accordingly, we were setting it to false when we started typing a number. As soon as we started typing a number, we basically toggling it between false and true. And when equal to is pressed, we get the result and display it. And this here, this code, what is it doing? So let's run this. You can run yours as well. Okay. So this is the app here, and you will see what's happening. As I'm typing this number, the app has opened. This variable is true, right? And here is a technique to try to understand what's happening. Sometimes you may be asked to look at somebody else's code and you don't know what exactly it is doing. So what you can do is you can set breakpoints and understand what is going on. So if I click here on this number, you will see that it gets highlighted in blue, like a tab appears. And when it is dark blue, it is an active breakpoint. So the execution will stop here. If I touch again, it becomes inactive. The execution will carry on, and it toggles like that. And I can also right click and remove it, delete it. So now let's say I start typing a number. I type 1. So the execution now comes and stops here, and we'll watch the values of these variables. You will see what's happening. Button text, current value, and start new number. So this is a good thing for you to learn, how to debug, how to use this debugging mode. If I say step over, I want to see that the button text should show the number that I just touched. It is showing, see here. L means local variable, button text, it is got a value of 1. I step over, now the current value is whatever was currently being displayed. Currently it is showing this 0, right? And now we are saying switch button text. So switch meaning see what value it contains. In case it is one of these, then do this. And we know that we just pressed 1. So we expect it to go in here, expect it to print the text. If start new number, meaning if this is true, then assign the current value to this, which it is true. Start value is true, so current value will now become 1. Okay, else will get skipped. And now we are setting start new number to false. So any new numbers that are pressed will get appended. That's our logic here. That's what is going on. Okay, and this here we created a model and we are telling the model that okay, we've got a number now, and update your whatever your current state is. So now we have a choice. We can press, instead of step over, we can say step in and it will take us there. So it comes to this update number. Since see all of these here, we are declared as optionals, which means their value is nil by default. So now this update number function checks, have we set a first number? No, then set the first number. This whatever is the incoming argument, make it the first number. That's what it will do, and then it will go back. Okay, and then we come back to the view controller, and now it says number display.text. This was our outlet, remember? We are setting its value to current value, whatever we received. So if I say run, you will see it shows 1 here. That's our logic. Any questions? Okay, so let's carry on from there. I'm going to disable the breakpoint and let it run. So 123 plus 4, 5, 6. So this is our calculation, and we figured out last time that we were able to get it work. We had this code here that I asked you what it was, this part. So now we have seen it running. What is this thing doing here? Why did we add this? There was a case. Yes. Yes. So for example, if I have typed a number and I type the operation, and then instead of typing another number, I just say equal to. The expected behavior from any calculator is that it should treat whatever appeared there already as the second number. And that's what it will do. So I expect to see 24 when I say equal to. I'm seeing 135. So there is something wrong, obviously. It's remembering 123 for some reason, plus 12. So that's our, and of course, this is not a finished product yet. We'll find these things. You may find your own, and we'll fix it. So that was the logic here. Okay. So let's see how we can include now, expand from having plus, how can we add subtraction to it? What will be our steps? So right now it's doing only plus. We want it to start doing minus as well. So if right now if you go on to your calculator in the simulator and press minus, nothing will happen. So first step, we need to start listening. Do something when minus. So right now actually something will happen. If I press minus, I want to see printed here, minus touched, like that. So it is doing something, but that is limited to it being printed, and that is getting printed because of this, right? So let's add this. We are doing plus. Right here we'll say, okay, also do minus. Okay, so now it will come here, it will set the operation. Does our model know what to do when minus is the operation? No. So let's implement that. We'll go to our model class, and in the get result, we only have right now plus. So let's add all the other operations here. Let's do it in one shot. The font you can't read. Better? Okay. For multiplication, be sure to use whatever you have used here. See, I've got an X here. You might have a star, you might have a small x. So use whatever is here, otherwise your logic will fail. And same for division. Yes. In view controller, see, no, this is model. We are in model, calculator model. At the top, you can see which file you are in. And if you want to go there, just okay, so if you have done this part, go back to the controller and in the case, add all the operations. Okay, so how many of you have got it to work? Working? Okay. So I'm just checking. Okay. Negative works. So one thing that we are missing right now, which makes it testing a little bit difficult, is the clear button. So let's add that, and then we will. Or hang on, let me just make sure all the operations are working, and then we'll add the clear button. Make it 12 times. Aha. So I have a problem. Mine, I think I've got the wrong case here. Okay. So the operations, if you have got it up to this point, all your operations should be working. And if they are not, then it means we have some other problem. Like if you're seeing an unexpected result, then what it means is that your code needs to be examined. So Mahmoud, do you want to put a breakpoint and see what's going on? Put a breakpoint where you're in the case for equal to, and see what the first number is, what the second number is. So is your Xcode in full screen? So then it won't work. You have to see here. If I click this green button, this will become full screen, and then this window occupies the entire screen. You can't bring another window. So what you have to do is you have to click it again and restore it to a smaller size, and then you can bring your simulator on top of it. Otherwise it will go back. The- right there. So we have not implemented it. We have not yet implemented multiple sequence of operations. So that is coming. Got it? No? Okay.
and then the big stuff like that.
Do the same in view controllers. Go to the view in the case. You see also like
For Wi-Fi cover.
same symbol. Otherwise, it doesn't go in there. Okay, those of you who are up to this point, start implementing the clear button, the C. Implement a case for it and think how you're going to do it, how to reset the model. Just do that. What you have to now. See what is operational. Okay, so how about that clear button? What do we need to do? Okay, so let's add it here first. Case C. What was the first thing you said? You'll reset the text field to 0. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So basically that we can just set current value to 0 because this is where we are assigning it back to the text field. So we'll just say current value is 0. What else? Variable. The model, we have the model has now maybe got a first number, it's got an operation, it may have a second number. We want to set all of those to nil. So we need some sort of a reset on the model. So instead of doing it here, we'll go to the model and implement a function here called reset. And what it will do is it will say first number equal to nil, operation equal to nil, and second number equal to nil. So our model now basically we make it empty. It has no data. And then we can call this reset from the view controller. Okay, what else? Do you think this is enough? Start new number. We have to start a new number after we clear, otherwise it will keep appending. Okay. Now let's run it and see what happens. Okay. So now I want to be able to do all. See, some of you noticed that if you were trying multiple operations, it was giving some funky results, not at what you were expecting. 6 divided by 3 was coming as 21. So let's see if we press C between those operations, what happens. So 2 plus 2 equals to 4. If I press C, I want to see a 0 here. And then if I do 5 minus 3, I want to see 2. As expected, let's multiply two numbers. 7 times 3 is 21. And now we'll press clear again and we'll do a division. Okay. So far, so good. this, the function name is reset, and we are just calling it here from the view controller in the model. That's the logical place to put it because we are resetting the model. So instead of trying to access those values and setting them at nil in the view controller, we'll just call reset whenever needed. Okay? So at this point, you should be able to do all 4 operations correctly, successfully if you press clear in between them. Everybody at this point? Anybody not yet there? Raise your hand, please. Okay. So those of you who are up to this point now see why it is that when you say, try something like this, 2 plus 2 plus 2 equal to what? You get a 6 or not? What number are you getting? Plus 2, 3 numbers. And what is the result you're getting? 4, right? So how can we fix it so that it starts working? Give some thought to that. Where do we need to make a change and what change? So let's look at this. So this is what we want to do. 2 plus 2 plus 2. Many of these, right? So what happens when we press the first 2 in our model? So the model has three things we have there. First number, operation, and second number. Okay, and initially these are all nil. I press the 2. What happens to the model? First number becomes 2. The other 2 are still nil. So, and if I keep on pressing more numbers, it will keep updating the first number. So let's say this became 2. Now I press plus. What happens? Operation will get assigned to plus. Now I press 2. Second number will get assigned. Okay? I press plus again instead of equal. What happened now? What does our code do? It will assign it to the operation again. That's what your case is. Update the operation. So it reassigns plus here, which was already plus, so nothing changed. And then after that, I press the third 2. Or instead of 2, let's say if I had pressed 3. Let's make it more interesting. I'll make this 3, 4, right? So this second number will get assigned 3. And then I press plus, it gets assigned to this, which was already plus, so no change. But then I pressed 4. What happened then? Second number. Look at the code in your update number function. It checks if the first number is null, assign it to that. If the first number is not null and operation is also not null, then it goes to the second number. We don't check for second number if it's already there. So this will become 4. Try it. 6. You should get a 6. 2 plus 3 plus 4 is equal to, instead of whatever you're expecting, 9, it should say 6. You understand? That will validate our theory here. How many people are getting that? 2 plus 3 plus 4, what is the result? In your simulator? 6? 6? Okay. So that's what it is doing. How can we change it? How can we make it better? Perfect. That's exactly what we'll do. So let's go through the sequence again. We press 2. 2 goes into the first number. We press plus. Plus it goes into the operation. And then we press 3. 3 comes here. So at this point, if the user presses another operation, it means the user intends to continue building upon the whatever they're calculating. So what Jill said is that at this point, if another plus is pressed, instead of reassigning it here, we do two things. We calculate the result. So this we calculate, and this will give us 5. And then we take this 5 and put it in the first number. Because this is what we are doing, and this is what you expect to see. If you're using a calculator, the real, the calculator app, for example, you say 2 plus 3, and then when you press plus, you don't see 3 there, you see 5 right away. It has done the calculation and displayed it. So that's what we want. So we want, after that, this will become plus after this one. But this, instead of being 2, this will become 5, which is basically the result of whatever was there so far. So once we have done this, then we don't care how many numbers the user types. We keep, putting the result in the first number. Putting the result in the first number. We could do 1,000 numbers. So that's our job now. We have to, when plus is pressed, we have to check whether the result is available. If it is, get it, put it into the first number. And the operation is plus, or plus multiplication, whatever it may be. Okay, so it's the reverse of this actually. You see? Here we were checking if the second number is nil. Here we have to check if the second number is not nil. Then we get the result, we assign it to the current value and set the operation. This is already being done. No problem. This is also good. So all we need is to get the result and assign it to the first number. So let's do it at the beginning of this here. So I'm going to copy this code from here and paste it here, and we'll change it. Instead of saying equal to nil, we'll say not equal to nil. So this is, see, whatever is happening here, the same thing needs to happen. We need to get the result and assign it to current value. So we'll get this line from here and put it here. So this will do the calculation at that point when the second time the operation is pressed and assign it to current value. But it is not still not changing the model. So we need to change the model. See, in our code here, you see this update number code. It it does a few things. It checks if the first number is nil, then it assigns whatever is the incoming argument to the first number. And if the operation is nil, it does the same. And here, since we have got all operations being treated all in one case, it's possible that minus may be pressed after plus had been pressed previously. So what we will do here is, in here we'll set this operation to nil. Yes, actually we could, right here we could just call a reset. For example, we could just say reset. Yes, and then we have to change the first number anyway. We have to set the first number to the result, right? So we'll reset. So everything goes to nil, and this value that we have got, we'll call now this update number function with the current value. I'll explain. If it's not clear, I'll explain again. Update number. You know what? Just simpler to just copy and paste this line from here, so you don't get any placeholder errors. And because my window is not wide enough, it just messes up the indentation. So this is what happened here. Once you're ready, I'll explain. So if you're still typing. So the if is checking if second number is not nil, meaning we had updated the model with the second number previously. If that is the case, then we reset. No, there is a problem. The reset cannot happen before we calculate. See, if we reset it here, then this is going to not work because we are setting everything to nil before we have actually done the calculation. So this line here needs to come after we have retrieved the result of the current calculation. Okay. So after we retrieve the current value, we reset, and then we call this update number, which will set this whatever the result was to the first number. And then after it comes out of the if, it is going to set the operation and set start new number to true. So everything we want is happening. If you examine this case here, so 2 plus 3 had been pressed, then came a plus. So that's what the if statement is doing. Was there a second number? It was there. It was set as 3. 2 plus 3. So we had a second number. So it goes inside the if. It says, okay, get me the result. So it does 2 plus 3 and gets the result as 5. We equate that to current value. And then we say, okay, now reset. So this all of this becomes nil. Right? And then we have that update number. When update number is called, because everything is nil, it puts that result into the first number. So this will become 5. And then the next statement outside the if is operation to button text. So whatever was pressed, it might be plus, it might be minus, it might be multiplication. In our case, it is a plus. So the plus will go here. And then when we press 4, it starts going to the second number. So this way you can execute a sequence of calculations. Okay, try it and see if it works. It's working? Okay, what about if you were to use a mix of operations instead of doing 2 plus 3 plus 4, 2 plus 3 minus 4, or 2 plus 3 times 4, or if you keep extending it? It's working as expected. Okay, so for those of you okay, now try this. Okay, let me first ask, anybody still working on it? Everybody's up to this point, you're getting a sequence of calculations done? No? Okay. So those of you who are up to that point, try this. After doing some calculation, press equal to, let's say you say 2 plus 5 equal to, and then you see 7. And then try to continue the sequence from there. See what happens. Plus something or minus something. Try it in your calculator, see what happens. Okay, how about the decimal point? How many of you got the decimal working? No, decimal. And if you say start typing a number with a dot in it, what happens? Works for you? Try? No, try typing a number. Try typing 2.5. Because we have not implemented it. We didn't add it. We have not added all the buttons. What else are we missing? Right? So see, we did all the digits. So we did these 9. We have done these operations and equal to, and we have done C. But these two and these two we are missing. So what happens when there is a dot? So basically treat it like a number, more or less. Okay. Special cases. What if there is already a dot in the number? Do you put another dot or just ignore it? Just ignore it. Okay. And what if the number presently displayed is 0? 0 dot. Right? In these cases, if the number was 0 and you pressed 2, it will just replace the 0 with 2. The 0 would disappear. So what we could do is, right, and what if start new number was false? Or true? How does that matter? Does it matter? So let's say there is something on display here. It's I've got this 23 plus 6. I did some calculation and now I press dot. What do we expect to see? 0 dot, right? Yeah. So we have to account for these different cases. What the state is, whether we are accepting a new number or not. And if you're not accepting a new number, where does the dot go? If you're not accepting a new number, means the number was being typed. And if a number is being typed, then if it doesn't have a dot, we add a dot. If it already has a dot, we ignore it. So those are the cases we need to take care of. So it fits in nicely here. We could, we could add a case just dot here and see how we can implement it. So we added a dot. So dot will be dealt with by this logic itself. So if we are starting a new number, it means there is nothing in it, right? So let's in here, let's check if button text is dot. Then do this. Else we'll leave it as it was. So this part we know, whatever was there before works for all the others. But for the dot, we have to do something else. What do we do for the dot if we are starting a new number? 0. It starts with 0 because if you the first thing you press is a dot, you mean 0 dot something. So we'll just say current value okay. Oops, sorry. This is what we just added. This we started doing this. So when start number is true, meaning we are accepting a new number, if the first key pressed is a dot, we know that the user means 0 dot. And if the first key is not a dot, then whatever it was, whichever number will be shown here. Okay, now what is the second case? Start new number is false. The dot comes. So I am typing a number 1, 2, 3, and then I press a dot. According to the current code, it is going to just append the dot, right? And then I keep on typing 4, 5, 6, right? Like that. But what if I after 6 I press another dot? You have to ignore it, right? So we can't leave it like that. If we leave it like that, it will accept as many dots as we give it. So right now, if you run this, run your code and see what happens. Okay. So I'll type exactly what I wrote there on the blackboard. 1, 2, 3 dot 4, 5, 6. Now if I press a dot, I want it ignored. And see what happens. It crashed because we are trying to create a double out of it. And that is not a valid double. Right? So here, what if we just say if button text is dot and the current value does not contain a dot. So Swift has a very nice function called contains that you can call on a string. That's how you check whether it contains a character or not. So that's what we'll do. We'll say if current value contains dot. And actually we want to say it does not contain, right? So in this case, we'll just put an exclamation in front of it. We'll negate it. So what will happen now is if a dot is pressed and there is already another dot, it is just going to skip and keep on doing whatever it was. It will just ignore that click. Is it clear that else if? It's a bit doing a couple of things. Who can explain it to me what the logic is here? Yeah, does not contain. Then we append it. So if actually this when this works, this has a problem. It will not work. Yeah. So let's fix it. We go inside if, right? So we want this to happen regardless. So we'll follow this same logic, you see. If button text is dot, then what to do, and else you keep on doing what you were doing. Okay, so then let's change it around a bit. So if button text is dot, we'll do something. Else whatever was being done will keep on happening. So if button text is dot, we need to check whether the current value already contains a dot. Okay, if it contains a dot, then do nothing. Else do this same thing. So this same thing that we did before numbers we'll do for a dot, if there is not a dot already there. This is a more readable code, although it is possible to write one else if here and take care of all of this, but then it becomes more complex to understand. See, I made a mistake. I thought it would work, but it did not. There is an argument for writing simpler code, easier to read, easier to understand. Okay, let's see what happens now. Okay, so we are at about the halfway point. I wanted to give a break as in previous classes. So those of you who want to take a break, 20-minute break, we'll start again at 3:40, let's say. And if you are having troubles, if you want to hang out for a couple of minutes, I'll help you out. Or we can do that after the break as well. Okay, so those. Okay.